right. Good morning, my dogs. It is 6:32. It is April 10th. Hope everyone's feeling good. It is Thursday, and it's been a week. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. Here we are. It's been a week. I'll tell you, every day has been a different day, but I'll tell you, there's been a lot of opportunity. We walked in on Monday. The market was down huge. A lot of us were risk off the way we closed on Friday. We were able to buy in the hole into 580, 585. Wound up having a nice reversal. If you took a third home, you got paid Tuesday, a little bit upside follow through. If you sold into strength, some people got short. I didn't. But anyway, pulled back yesterday. Felt like tech was a little bit of a ball underneath the water, coming up. I said that yesterday in the 6:30 Club. Did it on the with the alpha team, and then all of a sudden, we were playing for a move above 505, 515. I bought some good calls for yesterday and today, and then boom, all of a sudden, President Trump comes out with the 90-day extension, and the market explodes. Wow. Anyway, today market's lower. I don't think it's the end of the world because we were up a little bit too much, and every problem isn't solved. We were up 9% plus in the S&P, and some things are up so much more. So right now we're giving back, about 25%. So my thought is, where do we hold? If we use our retracement rules, we'll figure out, will there be commitment to yesterday's, or was yesterday just a huge oversold bounce? You know what I'm saying? Like I lived through the financial crisis. There were 10% moves off the lows, and the market still made lower lows for the next 6, 9, 12 months before this whole thing was all over. So markets are going to trade. You have to figure out, what's a compelling area. You have to execute. I did sell probably 80% of what I had on yesterday, so I am a little bit lower today. Not a big deal. I think if we get the type of trade that I want, where all of a sudden the SPYs hold, I would say at least, if the SPYs are going to be any good, they should not get below 525. So yesterday we triggered above 50. Look at the size of this candle. So if you think about, if we could hold the top third is above 525. Right now the SPYs themselves, it feels like it's down a lot. It's right now we're back to only where we were, I think, around 3 o'clock yesterday. So this area should be buyable. 530.60 is the morning low. Maybe that holds. But I would say for there to be any commitment to yesterday's big move, to potentially get a move through like what could be like a downtrend now here, I would think that this 525 holds. This gap was filled, so this is gone now. I like to get rid of it. Goodbye. This gap above is still there. And anyway, it went as high as what yesterday? This is this candle is what? High is 546.33. So anyway, so with that being said, it's already below 536. So it already dipped a little bit there. I would think that this 525, this would be like my line of this. And we start getting below this, and then all of a sudden it's sloppy. What I'm probably going to do into this down move, because I'm going to be out of the office in the afternoon tomorrow. I'm going to Pittsburgh for my boys' AAU basketball tournament. Yes, life happens. What I might do into this is I might buy some calls into this dip, for today to hold in there and then maybe close the week okay, something like that besides trading. But I would think this 525 holds, and then all of a sudden, if we want to pack and fill a little bit in here, then potentially we take that out. But ultimately, really good week trading. I needed it, so I do trade for a living. I'm not one of just these idiots on TV, not saying they're idiots, just some of them are. So I do this with you. That's why I feel like we all could relate to each other, because, I feel your pain. I feel your anxiety, when you miss out on a trade or you sell too early, like all those kind of things. I need to wake up. I need to prime myself, which is what I do with the 25-20 with a few hundred people. We work out together in the morning. I'm in my sauna doing a full body workout, talking about levels, listening to some 80s rock, doing a bunch of things. That's what that subscribe button is for the Red Dog Mindset. If you've been following me at the 630 Club for the past 5 years, getting value, what you should do is subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset. It's like $10 a month, and you can get a lot of value to help get you trading in the zone for when you need to execute on like days like yesterday. But anyway, so this is the spot. I'm hoping that this 525 area holds. Not hoping, but I'm going to figure it out. And and play it for that. This 536 is kind of gone now. This was already filled, so I would think this quadrant should hold. If this doesn't hold, then I think some people are going to get run over buying the dip. You can do the same thing with the Qs. The Qs filled this gap, it's gone. I would think that this low here with this 450-ish should hold. I would think if I were to have my guys from TrendSpider and I would draw my retracement rules, hey, if somebody who's watching right here, and want to do a little retracement from yesterday's low to today's high and put those Fibonacci retracements and tag me on my Twitter, I will retweet you. Anyway, so we'll see if we could do this as a community. My guys from the Alpha team will do that. So I think 450 should hold. Where are the Qs right now? 457. Qs are holding them really well, actually. Look at that. So it's just up here. I was just talking to one of my friends on the way in. I'm like, if you think about it, why would anyone be super long? That move yesterday was so damn big. They borrowed from any follow through. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And even if we had some follow through, what would the SPY have been up? 4 or 5 points after the size of that move? So a down move is probably better if we're going to hold in there. So we'll see. What were some of the best moving stocks yesterday? Well, Tesla moved really well. Tesla's really nowhere still. If you think about it, and Tesla was pretty strong. So right here, I would think if Tesla's any good, it should hold above, what's this? This is like 250-ish, 251-ish to kind of, pack and fill. Where's Tesla this morning? Tesla is where I would say down 6 or 7, down 8, 263. So it's not even there. So this down move in perspective is not a whole hell of a lot. I'm in the TSL. I already bought a little bit more this morning. It's down 58 cents. But I'll probably be trading Tesla also. Some guys are in Meta. Meta had a really nice move. I was talking this week. I said there are 5 names you can go to if we're going to rally. I said you could go with Meta, you can go with Amazon, you can go with Tesla, you can go with Nvidia, you can go with Palantir and Dash. Those 6. Actually, I said 6 besides the SPYs and the Qs. I went with like 4 or 5 of them. But anyway, Meta. Also, look at the size of this move. So I would, it borrowed from any follow through that it could have had. So anyway, with that being said, this gap is gone. Most of these things all filled their gaps, and now we'll see if they could hold higher. What's this high here? This is like 552-ish. So I would think again, you can almost measure the retracement to see which ones are going to be the strongest. Do they hold the top 25% retracement, a third? Anything more than a third, it gets choppier. Here's 552. And see how it goes. What I just showed you, Meta is at 572. So a lot of these things are not down much. I could see some of these things going red to green, and that would be a great trade. Anyway, so map out the retracement levels on all of these. Amazon had a nice move, filled the gap. Amazon, I would think, between the tariffs and China and a little bit, it's, you have to be a little careful, but ultimately Amazon is in the game. It went as high as 192 yesterday. Wow. What a move. So again, probably need to do a little packing and filling in order to figure out what could be next here. So let me just clean this stuff up a little bit here. But anyway, this is 178. I would draw a little bit higher. I would think I shouldn't really get much below here. So what's that? This high here is like 185. So 185-ish is someplace I would think would hold. So right now, I do think this, try and buy the dip a little bit carefully. Let's see, where's Amazon this morning? Amazon is down 4. So again, in perspective, everyone's like, oh, yesterday was flash in the pan. Or like, you gotta really know, the size of the move and have, very realistic expectations. So I'm gonna say hello to some of my dogs around the world. Let's see, I got 28 comments coming in. You can comment on YouTube, you can comment on Twitter. Let's see who we got coming in. We got Jeff Ruberg. You went with Nvidia, Amazon, and Oklo. Those are 3 good things to go with. You probably made good money. Congratulations yesterday. Little Curbster says, hit the like button, gang. What do you mean? Andrew on Uber. Tem. I see all the favorite leaders of the past 6 months coming up. That you probably could have bought anything. You just had to press the buttons, and hopefully you were in the position to do so. Will short the SPY at 540. Okay, so I would cover some and make some money. Tony Wallace, my man, I met him way back when at the Financial Festival. Remember who here went to the Financial Festival in Florida? That was literally, oh my God, it could have been 15 years ago. Josh Brown, Nathan, we were all on a board with anyway, that was, you got JP from Tampa saying good morning. You want to see the Oklo chart? Sure. Anything for you. I haven't traded Oklo in months. Yeah. Ever since it broke right here, like look at this, look how active I was with this stock, and then all of a sudden it broke the 8-day and 21 day. I haven't done anything since. I think I tried it right here. Very broken. It's not a leader. It's a concept type play. It has some room, I guess, just like everything else. But I think there's a lot better things out there than this right now. This is your room there. It did make a higher low, so it's just a broke trend here, and just going to take time. You need to be in a bull market for concept, high valuation names like this to do anything great. VIX is still above 30. Mr. probably is doing decent. Crypto hung in there somewhat well. Mr. Just like everything else. Well, look at the size of that wide range bar, though. Mr.'s tough. Mr. gave you that move. It's kind of like you can make this into a little bit of a channel now. You did have a really nice bullish candle that took out the prior day. Listen, Mr.'s rebuilding. If you're a crypto fan, I feel like there's nothing else you need besides IBIT and Mr. So these are the two you should trade together with. And right now, after the size of the move in Bitcoin, it's only down 45 cents. So maybe Bitcoin starts acting better. Maybe, it decouples a little bit. Right now, Mr.'s down 10 at 285. So what's 285? Let's see. 285 is, what's this high here? This is around 282. It's not so bad. I feel like, again, this is it. This is in the camp that if crypto wants to hold on. Now, what you see on days like today and tomorrow? You see what's real. What was just a short covering rally? What has real buyers coming in? I'll tell you what looks real is DoorDash. I've been talking about DoorDash for so long. My friends absolutely crushed it yesterday in DoorDash. Look at the size of that move. Wow. Made a higher low, took back the moving averages. This is something every trader should have on their radar and start to get to know and trade. This stock is going to continue to be a leader for the next few years. And at this point, I've been really actively approaching it a lot since just say here. Back in August 5th, it started to outperform. So with that being said, maybe today's dip is viable. Just be careful because it was up by $20 yesterday. Took out this 175. Now let's see if it holds this upper quadrant here. Let's clean this up a little bit. So DoorDash, definitely, you think about DoorDash, it only came public in 2021. So it's got a long life left, So anyway, now see if it holds this 175. I looked at it before. Dash is only down it's only down, not even $5. It was up 20. This is 175. So I would make sure to start putting DoorDash, in the front and center. Pelosi bought Nike. What does she know? That's interesting. Let's see. Wow. Nike's a good example of, the moving averages rules, the gap and goes to the downside rules that you can't get, fall in love with the brand just because it's a brand. But anyway, it's a broken name. It has a gap to fill. It's emotional because of China. When did she buy it? Did it just come out? Is it even up today because of that? Let's see. Nike. It's not $1. What I would do with Nike, just because it's so damn broken, I'd go out and just buy like a call spread 3 months out, something like that, unless you're going to really play it versus, this area. It just hit a crazy low. There's definitely there's brand value there. There's a lot of things going on. I think at some point, at least a company like Nike has the benefit, might be able to be reborn, but I would, I would go with options. What's this high here? This is 60. So I would go out maybe, a bunch of months. And if you think that it's gonna, that she knows something, who knows? Maybe she, it probably only if anything gets back to here. So that's a decent move. Maybe you go out and buy the 65 and sell the $70 calls and do it for June or something like that. but ultimately it's a very big broken name. RGTI is above all the moving averages, Jim says. What's that? That's the robotics, right? So let's see here. Again, in the first part of rallies, you really want to go with the big names and the leaders, and then if the rally is going to be for real for a while, then they start going down the food chain. But yeah, this looks pretty good. This is Rigetti Computing. It's going sideways. It's building a nice big base. If this is going to be a viable company and have a big future, it's building. This is something that could be a new name. They say when you come into a new bull market, there are new leaders, and this RGTI is pretty new. Looks good, Jim. I like it. It should be one of the stocks in your go-to list. If you have a go-to list of 30 to 40 names that you chart every day, well, this should be one of them. It looks pretty good, but we're going to need a much better market. It's kind of like the ASTS. ASTS has been going sideways now for so long, but a lot of people think this company is a company for the future with satellites and broadband and cell phones and this and that, whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is there's a lot of institutions accumulating this thing, and once we get into a better market, you would think that it could go again instead of just being a trade. And yes, there was a decent one. Yesterday a lot of guys made some decent money. It held this going sideways. So there are some names like this that aren't names like a Nike, aren't names like a Dell or whatever from the past that are considered newer names with newer things happening, and they're taking the time. Who's good at this kind of stuff? Shay, Shaay. He's really good at doing deep dives into some of these companies. He's not the best market timer, but I will say he's good at doing a deep dive so people understand exactly what's going on with a name like this. But listen, guys, it's 6:49. I appreciate you. We're going to see right now what happens here. Do the SPYs hold 525 and rebuild up here? Might take a day to digest. Don't overtrade. Maybe go out and buy some options for next week if you think, or Friday, that this is going to hold and continue. I'd be very careful. We just had a big move off the 481 lows up to where I thought we'd have some resistance. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, did you sell your I know the CPI is at 830. CPI is going to be interesting. Did you sell half of your wife's blood in the street account because I bought that on the dip? I probably could have sold a bunch of it yesterday. I didn't. I feel like there's a little bit more. Here's your weekly chart. To me, I think that we could work our way back maybe towards here, this 566-ish, which really isn't that much of a difference. The way the market traded, I didn't get the best prints for her. I think her average for her 50% off highs is like 14% off highs, which isn't great. I didn't get any prints off, 20% off highs, because if you remember on Monday, we were at 581, but we closed at like 505. We never closed down there on the lows where I was able to get the print. So I'm going to give it a little bit more room and space, but it's good to see that this happened. I do think Baba is interesting. Baba, had its first day up in a while. I have a feeling China's going to come to the table, and that's what's going to, cause the second round of this. I know this morning they're talking tough, but I would think that this Baba that's up a little bit, could work its way back towards the 114 area. You had a Red Dog reversal yesterday. I did get a little bit hurt. I made a lot of money here, and then I kind of rolled up options, and they haven't been working. I did add to options yesterday that were a double, and now maybe we'll see if this could go a little sideways, take this out, and give a little bit of a better trade here. But that's that. So again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully a lot of you guys from the 630 Club are with the Alpha Team. The Alpha Team trades with me all day long. They got to see me buy the SPY 515 calls yesterday at 12.52. I bought the SPYs 515s for yesterday and today. I bought TSLL. I bought a bunch of things thinking that people were overemphasizing on the auction, that the auction would be fine and we'd go nuts. Instead, that was lukewarm, and then Trump came out and is really good for anyone who followed my footsteps there. It was plus the tech was giving you some clues. So put them all together. It was one of my top 3 days, in my career. And thank goodness I only come in with 20%, and it feels good. It's been a complicated few weeks. We've all been waking up early, trying to get our mind right, trying to stay positive, trying to drown out the noise. And if you could do that, and you become patiently aggressive. Yesterday was your day for that, and now we'll figure out what's next. Have a great day. I appreciate you guys. Just remember, 2520 is only Monday through Thursday. So is the 630 Club. But I will be doing all my work today, trading it up and, get the content out for tomorrow. Have a great day. I appreciate you.